You know, a while ago I did a poll on which new character you wanted me to go ahead and design, and I'm sure you guys thought that I forgot about it. But I didn't. The winner of that poll was Multiple Man, aka Madrox, and I did spend some time really working hard on a design for him. In the midst of all these other amazing characters that keep coming out, I think that he would contend. Hey everybody, welcome back to MPQ Mastery, where we teach you to destroy more gems. Every so often, we go ahead and create brand new characters that we would like to see, kind of give weird ideas for new powers and whatnot, and with this one, that's definitely the case. Multiple Man, somebody who creates duplicates, that's a difficult one. Like, I was always trying to figure out how that would translate to the game, and I think that I have a pretty good balance here on how and why that might work. And when I was done with it all, I think that he's gonna be a 5-star. You guys let me know what you guys think. First off, let's go over who Madrox is. He is Madrox the Multiple Man, and he is a mutant. He's a member of the X-men. He's gone on several different missions, and he's part of many of the major X-men storylines. One thing that I really dig about him is that in the beginning, he did not have complete control over his powers. And his powers are triggered by kinetic energy, meaning anytime he would get punched, anytime he would bump into something, anytime he'd snap his fingers, he would create what he calls a dupe. And he can have so many of these that it kind of gets ridiculous. And he can basically become his own army, which is pretty cool. One other interesting thing about Madrox is that each of his clones that he creates kind of takes on a different personality and aspect. And some of them actually sometimes can take the worst parts of him. There's an entire storyline of one of his clones that decided it wanted to be the main Madrox Prime, which is what he's called, because he's the Prime and all the other ones are copies. There was a clone that was like, I want to be the Prime, and tried to take Madrox out and try and steal his power. There's another one who became a priest. There's another one who, you know, was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it's kind of interesting. There was one that was a baby. And Madrox is super actually powerful. He's created clones inside his enemies, and I'm pretty sure from all of my research on him that there is no limit as to how many clones he can create. The whole hit him again, that's his whole thing. If you beat him up, he's now got an army behind him, and now he's going to return the favor. So with all of that in mind, here is my design. I really try to take all of that stuff into consideration when coming up with powers for him. And if you like stuff like this, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, consider becoming a YouTube member. And whenever I do these, I do mark X's for things that might range, and I do mark low, medium, and high in terms of damage, because sometimes exact numbers don't really work, and I'll just be like, it should deal a little bit of damage, or a medium amount of damage, or a lot of damage. It's just good to generalize about that sort of thing, because you know, I'm not playtesting these or anything, so these would normally have to go through some playtesting to figure out how much damage is appropriate. But going into the design, I made him green, yellow, and red, which, if you look at the picture that I used, his suit is green and yellow, which seemed to fit really well. And then red obviously has the effect of, usually those powers are like, bam, attack powers, so green and yellow and red seem to work out for me. Hit Me Again is his green power, and it is his main one that like everything else works off of. So like if you get this character, you're definitely going to want his green power, and it's a passive power. So Madrox's powers are activated by kinetic energy, so he invites a bloody nose whenever he takes damage. And I'm thinking anytime he takes damage, even if it's 1 point of damage, he creates a 3-turn green countdown tile that deals low damage at the end of every turn. So similar to, say, Medusa, that tile, it's going to count down. When it goes away, it just goes away. But if it is matched by the enemy, it's going to deal medium damage. And if it's matched by your team, it's going to heal Madrox. So that's him kind of reabsorbing his clone and healing him a little bit. So I actually really dug that balance of that power. It is every time he gets attacked. And so likely at level 5, it would have no limit as to how many of those could be out at any given time. But you know, the lower levels 1 through 4 likely would have like, oh, the 3 max, 4 max, 6 max, whatever. But you're about to kind of see like why Hit Me Again works really well. So one-man team, it's another passive ability. His duplicates have Madrox's back in times of need. If a teammate is defeated, destroy a Madrox countdown and randomly replace with one of Madrox's duplicates. So this was an idea that I had that I thought was pretty cool. So if Madrox goes in and one of his teammates is down, let's say it's Madrox and Spider-Man and Thanos, and let's say Thanos uses his power to do damage whenever he downs an enemy, and then that kills Spider-Man. Well, if there's a Madrox tile on the board, it's gonna take that spot, and it's no longer gonna be Spider-Man's spot, it's now Madrox's spot. I thought that because of the fact that his clones are known to take on their own personalities, we could theme each one after a different color, and each one of the clones would have a single power, and that's what it did. So you could have a red one that kind of just does some damage whenever you build up enough red. Blue could be stun powers, yellow could be healing, black could be stealing, green could be tile destruction, and then purple could be creating special tiles. So I thought that that would be cool, and it does a couple of things. First off, it adds a randomness to the power, so it might be that like, oh, I really hope that if my character goes down, then the green maniac one will come up, because I really need to destroy some of these tiles. Like, yeah, sure, like that's pretty cool. But then what if you want the green one, but you end up getting the blue one? It kind of levels out this playing field, because this is a pretty powerful power, because the secondary effect is it essentially gives you 5 characters going into a fight. Because as long as Madrox is still out, he could lose 2 of his members, and he's going to replace them with copies of himself. And we could always design them to do extra things based on how many other clone countdown tiles are on the board and whatnot. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it is. And I don't think that it's any more powerful than Captain America's ability to revive a dead ally, or Loki's ability to come back from the dead, you know, things like that. So, I mean, I think it's on par with those sorts of things, but definitely a 5-star, I think, for this ability specifically, because again, you're going into it with 5 characters essentially into every fight. Then we get to the red power, which is probably the simplest of the powers, and that is so many fists. Once sufficiently backed by his dupes, Multiple Man launches a big attack, dealing medium damage for each Madrox in play. That counts him, that counts any of the Madrox countdown tiles, and that counts any replacements for any of his team members. So let's just, for instance, say that Madrox launches this and he's got 3 countdown tiles and one of his people are replaced. Like, that's a lot of damage when you think about it that way. But his powers are all centralized on him, and I don't know how well these might work out with other characters, but I think it's a cool symmetry with his characters himself. The secondary effect on that is if there are more than X Madroxes in play, he also destroys some enemy tiles, and I put those as X's. Obviously, the higher the level, the lower number of Madroxes that are necessary, and the more special tiles destroyed. At level 1, it might be if you have 5 in play, you know, it destroys 2 special tiles, you know, something like that. But the 2 and the 5 might switch, you know, at level 5, where if there's 2 or more, then it destroys 5 special, or destroys all of them. Who knows? I mean, it could be whatever. But I thought that this was a really cool kind of design for a character, especially when I was trying to consider how you would do duplicates in a game like this. And you could do just like, yeah, you know, the tiles like I did with Hit Me Again, but I think that the one-man team really kind of backs up the power of what it's like to have a character with duplication powers, because, oh my gosh, that's probably one of the most powerful powers. Just think of like Naruto, like, oh, I'm in the belly of the snake. Well, how about I just make 1,000,000 of myself and burst this guy? But anyway, honestly, also what I was thinking too was what kind of character would go really well with a character like, say, Immortal Hulk. Because if you think about it, Immortal Hulk is really good at taking out his teammates because he's dealing damage to the rest of the people on his team and himself. But just think about it, if every time Madrox is taking damage, he's putting more countdowns on the thing, so that works really well. And then also he can match those and heal some of that damage back. On top of that, if Madrox and Immortal Hulk are on the same team, and Immortal Hulk kills the third member, he can replace it with a dupe. And I haven't gotten this far. I don't think that he can replace a dupe with a dupe. I think that's part of playtesting. But if it was determined that he could replace a dupe with a dupe, then it's too powerful. But if you cannot replace a dupe with a dupe, and you can only replace the actual teammates, then again, it's basically end up with 5 characters. The question is, though, is that does the yellow power activate with Immortal Hulk? So if he downs himself but then brings himself back, is that then going to break it because he's killing himself? So he is down, Madrox creates a dupe, and then he comes back. So that might be broken if you think about it that way. But if he can only do it once, or if it just doesn't activate because he revives himself before he is officially downed, then I think that that's probably okay. That's more a technical thing, but I really dug this design. Let me know what you guys think about my Madrox Multiple Man design for MPQ. I really want to know what you guys think. And if you like any of these custom designs, don't forget to send them to the dev team, send links to all of the people who design characters for this game, because I'm not gonna get paid or anything because I'm making it for free here, but if they can draw inspiration from something like this, have at it, Hoss. I love it. But definitely don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, share the video everywhere that you can. You can follow us on Twitter as well. And thanks for coming to MPQ Mastery. Go destroy some gems.